Hello, my pals and confidants and good old buddies that watch my shit. Welcome to what is basically the first episode of my my new movie review show that is brought to you by Stardust app, which is a really cool app, which I explained about in the other video, which you can check out on my channel. So, which is where you are right now, hopefully. So I saw Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and where to begin? So really, I didn't care about this movie even a little bit. I didn't. In fact, when I heard they were even making a Jumanji sequel, you kind of, I mean, I got the feeling that you can get when you hear the sequel to a movie that's over 20 years old or 30 years old or however years old is being remade for a modern audience or rebooted or whatever, what have you. Usually the first thought I have is why? Why? Who asked for another Jumanji? The first one's perfect, and Robin Williams is fantastic. God bless him. Rest in peace. So I had zero interest, and then you find out that The Rock stars in it, and then Jack Black and Karen Gillan and Kevin Hart. And then you're like, well, The Rock is the shit, you know? We love The Rock. We basically love everything he does, and we'll see anything he fucking makes. And, you know, that's true for most people. And, but I love The Rock, and I think he's a great actor and a great person, and, you know, who doesn't like The Rock? Let's be honest about that. So anyway, but when you hear about a Jumanji sequel starring The Rock, you're like, uh-oh, The Rock's done some stinkers. We've seen him. You know, I don't know. I just didn't really care. Anyway, I saw it, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, which is what the whole movie is called. Jake Kasdan directed this movie, and his other credits include really the movie that I really love, which is Walk Hard. He directed and produced Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, which is a hilarious movie if you haven't seen it. The movie okay, so I'm just gonna get right to it. I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it, is all I'm gonna say about it. Okay, bye. I enjoyed Jumanji. The movie starts off as one of those, like, shitty kind of, like, kid movies where you're kind of like, I don't care about any of these characters, and, you know, their dynamic isn't great, and you know, I don't really care about their story or who's fighting with who and who's been friends for however long, and I don't really care about these kids at all. And so I was really bummed out initially in the first, like, 20 minutes of the movie, or maybe, like, 15 or so minutes, because you're just like, uh-oh, these are our stars, huh? But you know The Rock comes in later, but these are the characters that they're based on, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, so, but the movie picks up instantly as soon as The Rock and Jack Black and Karen Gillan and Kevin Hart, as soon as they all show up, the movie instantly just becomes this really, I mean, it's funny. There's a lot of jokes that don't hit, obviously, and it's not going to be for everyone, and it's kind of meant to be one of those safe, take the whole family holiday movies, or just kind of like, what do you want to see, kids? We've already seen Star Wars 4 times. And Coco we saw 8 times, hopefully. Let's go see Jumanji. And it's like just one of those safe movies you can watch with the whole family. You don't have to worry about any awkward fuck scenes or anything like that. It's not going to be like a raunchy, you know, Tropic Thunder type jungle movie. But what it is at its core, which I really appreciate about it, is it kind of just feels like an actual fun adventure movie, which I don't remember there being a decent one in the past, like, 10 or 20 years. I don't know. I can't even, off the top of my head, think of, like, an adventure movie that came out even in the past 10 years that was anywhere kind of near. I mean, there were movies that tried, like, definitely something Owen and I talked about after watching it. Yes, I dragged Owen to go see it, but only because we were going with friends and we hadn't seen him in a while, and it was kind of an impromptu thing. But they wanted to see it. I wanted to see it. Owen never wants to see garbage like this, but he actually ended up enjoying it. But anyway, we were talking about how the Indiana Jones and the Crystal Garbage movie was absolutely the wrong way to make like a fun adventure movie, and this is like what Crystal Skull should have been, like a kind of like fun adventure that kind of relies more on the fun, simple storyline, and then the dynamic of the characters. Like, we already love Indiana Jones, you know, we don't really love this Mutt character, so you've already got a problem with dynamic of the characters in that. So, but with this movie, it's like, you got The Rock, you got Jack Black, you got all these characters that are beloved, that are in a lot of great films, that are very funny, and then you put them together in a movie, and it's just like exactly what you would think it is. It's very funny, it's very, the comedic timing of all of these actors is great, and they just kind of, they're perfect together. They work very well together, and if it had not been for that, I think it wouldn't have been an enjoyable film at all. And now, of course, there's going to be a bunch of spoilers all over this review, so if you haven't seen the movie, or if you, whatever, I don't know, who gives a shit? The movie's, it's not like, this isn't Star Wars, you know, who cares if Jumanji's spoiled for you? But basically, it is a sequel to the original Jumanji in a very loose way, and for some reason, this Jumanji board game can turn into another type of game and become a video game system. Like, essentially, some kid finds the Jumanji board game in the 90s, and he just, like, is like, oh man, what the fuck is this? Who plays board games anymore? And then he puts it on top of, like, a console, a video game console, and then it, like, changes... He opens the Jumanji, like, it's some kind of electricity, magical shit happens, and then he opens the Jumanji box, which is the original box from the first movie, and then inside is, like, a Jumanji cartridge. So I don't know what happened at all there. The box is still the same, but when you open it, it's just the cartridge. I don't know, that part's really unclear, and it doesn't really matter, because once... They kind of just gloss over that, and it just happens. So basically the idea you get is the Jumanji game is magical and can transform into whatever a kid is interested in. So when will it become a bowl of marijuana, you think? Do you think Jumanji will ever become a... So yeah, so then... It's through a certain amount of circumstances, the game system finds its way in the basement of this school. You've seen the trailer, you get the gist of it. And all these kids get sucked into the game. That part sucks. And then, once they're in the game, it's great, because it's peppered with all these kind of, like, video game references. Like, there's references to NPCs and video game lives and special abilities. The action sequences were really fun. Yeah, the CGI is not great. It's, you know, whatever. It's fine. It's not as bad as the monkeys from the first Jumanji. Remember that shit? Although I was a little disappointed that, as far as jungle creatures go, we had kind of like our normal stuff. We had, like, you know, elephants and rhinos, and there was, like, a giant crocodile. But they didn't do, like, the giant spiders and stuff, which were a really cool part of the original Jumanji. I don't know, maybe it's good that they didn't kind of just rehash shit. But that's the really cool thing about the movie, is that it's not even a rehash. It's not possible. It's like, if you're gonna make a sequel to a movie that was, I don't know, that's like over 20 years old, and you know, you don't know if it's gonna work really in this time, in this era of movies, I feel like a really fun way to kind of, like, continue a saga like that. I don't know if you can even say it's a saga. I think a really fun way to continue a series like that would be to just completely tonally change everything and just kind of, like, flip the movie around and just kind of go like, alright, well, what would Jumanji be if it was just, like, a straight-up adventure comedy? Which I guess you could say the original Jumanji is, but with this movie, it's just so... It's very slapsticky, but the slapstick stuff works. And, you know, again, a lot of great jokes. The writing is fine. There's a lot of cringy one-liners and things like that. But I think it fits well in this world because none of it is meant to be taken seriously. We have Jack Black, who's playing... who is a 14-year-old girl or like a 15-year-old girl, and the entire movie he's acting like a 15-year-old girl, and that's hilarious. That's great, and he did a fantastic job. And so you kind of, like, because of that, you kind of just throw all of your, like, but wait a minute character stuff out the window, and you kind of excuse a lot of the cringy dialogue because you're like, well, this is already a ridiculous concept, and this world is ridiculous, It doesn't take itself too seriously. I'm along for the ride. Just watch it for The Rock. Watch it for Kevin. Watch it for Jack. Watch it for The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. Watch it for Dwayne Johnson. It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie, but it's fun, and like, I had a good time. I'm not gonna give movies a score because that's when you always get in trouble with people. I can't believe you gave this movie a C! Oh, my life is ruined! So I'm not gonna score any of these movies. I'm just gonna say if I enjoyed it or not and kind of critique them or whatever. But I actually enjoyed Jumanji. I was disappointed with The Last Jedi, and I was entertained by Jumanji 2. Shut your damn mouth. But forget about my bullshit. Let's see what the community of Stardust users are saying about Jumanji, and let's see what we can kind of interject from their opinions. And also don't forget that if you saw Jumanji, you know, I'm gonna scold you now if you didn't actually tag me in your Jumanji post if you have the Stardust app. Obviously, the way to get in on this portion of the show is to get the Stardust app using the link in the description, because that helps me a lot, and that way I can figure out who's using the link and who's following the goddamn directions of this video. And you can send me your review of each movie that I do here on this show, and you could be featured in the show. And it's like we're talking about movies together. That's all I want in life, is just talk about movies. So anyway, let's check out what the Stardust community thought about Jumanji, and I can't wait to dig my dang fingers into this pudding pie.
Hey guys, so I just got out of Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. I really enjoyed the first Jumanji movie. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing, but I love thinking of Robin Williams. This movie is completely different. It takes everything that you knew, flips it on its head. There are some problems. Some of the CGI is kind of lame, and the dialogue, of course, gets cringy at times. But really, I laughed a lot during this movie. I had a lot of fun in the theater. These guys play off of each other so well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I feel like, again, the tone is great, the dynamic is great. It's just, you know, it's a fun fucking movie, Dad!
This is a good way to do a sequel. It paid homage to the original, but it also appropriately modernized it.
Yes, again, like I said earlier, I mean, it really does kind of take the sequel-itis and do a little something unique with it. Like, you know, Back to the Future 2. I mean, I'm not quite comparing Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle to Back to the Future 2, but from Back to the Future 1 to 2, you get kind of a wacky little switcheroo kind of thing going on.
My only issue for me was just the kids. When you get to see them outside the game, they were a little too cliche, a little too cheesy for me.
Basically, everything that takes place within the Jumanji world is excellent. Everything outside of that is just kind of like another shitty family movie.
Alright, so I just saw Jumanji last night, and I absolutely loved every second of it. Everything. It was funny. It was really emotional. I cried at one point. Like, oh my god, it was great. It was one of my favorite films of 2017.
Wow, one of your favorite films of 2017? That's a lot. That's a lot. But hey, listen, you know, movies, you know, it's like art is, you know what I mean about that? And crying in the movie, I don't know where the tears, I don't know if there were any sad moments. Where would you have cried in Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle?
So I got to watch an early screening of Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle in 3D and 4DX, which was a really awesome experience. If you're thinking about watching this movie in either 3D or 4DX or both, I recommend it because it just kind of enhanced the whole adventure aspect of it.
That's really fun. I would like to see Jumanji. First of all, I didn't even know it was available in 3 dimensions. I would like to see that. I still want to see Coco in 3D. I want to see Coco in 3D. I want to see Star Wars in 3D. Is Star Wars in 3D? I would love to see Jumanji in 3D and 4D and 5D and 6D and 36 double D.
Yeah, I saw it, and I liked it. Did I love it? I don't think so, but I liked it. Would I recommend it? Sure.
Jumanji's not going to reinvent the wheel or do anything super special, but sometimes you just need a little fun when you go to the movies. Jumanji's a lot of fun. Like, you get to see The Rock and Jack Black act out of character, do wacky shenanigans inside of a video game world, so it's a lot of fun.
And I didn't hate the movie, but you're not going to remember it in 2 weeks.
Yeah. no one's gonna really remember this movie until it comes out on like Blu-ray or whatever. Then it might have a little resurgence. But yeah, I mean, this isn't gonna be as highly regarded as the original Jumanji in any way, you know? I mean, I think people will probably remember it as like a decent movie with The Rock in it, and that's about it. Which is kind of sad.
Okay, I suppose it's a fun family adventure. Not really original or anything. It's a sequel of Jumanji, and look, the original Jumanji, I'm a 90s kid. It's my jam. So apart from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson being badass awesome, which is pretty much the only reason I would see this movie, and San Andreas, which I love, and Rampage, which is coming out, all for The Rock. Apart from that,
you liked San Andreas, huh?
This isn't fair, but I miss the first movie. I miss the tone of the first movie, the more dark-toned, dark-themed movie.
Yeah, it's a little more serious. There's a serious tone to the original Jumanji, but, you know, again, I like that they kind of... This isn't like a franchise... This isn't a franchise, you know? Like, Jumanji just isn't a franchise. Like, maybe now it will be. Maybe there will be a third one or even a fourth one, for fuck's sake, but, you know, it's the difference between people complaining about a new Ghostbusters movie, no, or like Star Wars isn't as good, this one isn't as good as The Force Awakens, or whatever argument people have about these kind of like these massive, huge franchises is because of just that. These are massively huge franchises that have been peppered throughout our lives, whether you were born in the 80s or the 90s or what have you. There's always been a Star Wars movie. There's always been these franchises that just have been sticking around through all these generations. And, when you make a new one, you've got this heavy burden of nostalgia kind of stuck to it. And with a movie like Jumanji, it's like, there's one movie, it's perfect, it's great. This is like so many years later. You know, Jumanji isn't like a Beetlejuice or like a Indiana Jones or what have you, where like these are like completely beloved, constantly brought up, you know, cult classic movies. Like Jumanji's like a really good movie, but it's no Star Wars, it's no Ghostbusters, and so, you know, you take a sequel to that type of movie, and there aren't very many people that are like, you didn't keep the tone of the original Jumanji, you didn't have this, and you didn't have that. Like, no one's really complaining about that because, like, it's not that beloved of a franchise. It's not a franchise.
When I heard they were making this movie, I just thought it was a terrible idea. The premise, the concept, everything. And boy, was I wrong. This movie's just a ton of fun from the beginning to the end.
In all honesty, I didn't really like this movie, guys. The characters, to me, were just so bland, so cliche. The writing, the dialogue. There was no levels or stakes.
That's interesting. He says there's no stakes. I truly believe there were some pretty well-established stakes in this movie. I mean, you've got the lives thing on the arms where it's like, you know, this is how many lives you have. And it truly, at one point, I was concerned that, at least maybe the Jonas brother was gonna die. And they really they've established that the Jumanji world is extremely dangerous, and any kind of accidental misstep, like in any way, could cause serious harm or death. And, you know, they established with the characters that, like, actually dying is a real thing that could happen in the Jumanji game. And so a lot of times in the movie, you're thinking, wow, are they going to kill off this character? Are they going to kill off that character? Who's going to die here? And, you know, at the end, everyone's pretty safe. There's some close calls, but I really do believe that the stakes... And again, in a movie where you're like in a video game world, where there's video game logic, and it's cartoony and slapsticky and funny, you know, there won't be serious stakes.
Seriously? Who's gonna see this?
Not as good as the first one. R.I.P. to Robin Williams. But it's still good.
It really took me back to the days of like the 90s, early 2000s of a great adventure film.
So anyway, guys, that's it for today's episode on Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. The next episode I'll be doing is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be kind of like a what I'm looking forward to in 2018 episode. I'll basically just kind of talk about my most anticipated movies of 2018, and there's a lot of really good ones. So, For those of you that want to participate in that video and be a part of it and share your reactions, all you got to do is download the Stardust app, information in the description, and you just click that link and sign up with my link. And then find your most anticipated movie of 2018 within the app, make a little reaction to it, and then tag me in your video at Steve Zaragoza. That's my name on the Stardust app, and you could be featured in my next video review video. So guys, that's it for Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. Thanks for participating. Thanks to Stardust for being a great app. And also, guys, I'll see you at the movies. I'll see you at the movies.